Hello viewers and welcome to a brand new series called Mechanized Bestiary, which is made as a NPC guide for both up-and-coming and experienced game master, as well as some players that just want to know how to deal with some incredibly annoying assholes.
Wait, isn't the Game Master section paid content?
Yeah, that's why I will use exactly 0 hard data in the series. This whole series will basically be just me giving advice on various things about NPC, so if you want actual details on the Game Master section, get the book. I would also like to thank Caroline Diane for her Lancer NPC tokens which she made herself because it looks pretty damn neat. You can get it at the description below. Anyway, I think as the very first episode, I should dispense some advices to any new game master. First up, do not give the NPC group more action economy than the player group. This basically means you should try to not have more NPC than players. A small extra like a grunt is fine, but having too many will make the players feel like they have lost complete control of the situation. What you should do is make a large group of NPC, but only bring most of them in as reinforcement in waves to keep the pressure on. And you could definitely bring more people in for harder battle, but you should not make the fight unwinnable. If you do, warn the player about it or give them alternative objective clearly, because if you think the player have enough brain to figure out they are in an unwinnable fight, you are going to be very wrong. And do remember that behind all NPC is just another human. You could make a fight more believable by having the enemy force retreat after getting half of their unit wiped out instead of fighting to the death. And of course, you could totally adjust the ferocity of the NPC yourself. Maybe they are fanatic cultists that don't care about their life, or maybe they are just robots. Basically, just do whatever that fits your plot. That also brings in another important thing, briefing. Your players are probably part of a military group after all. Give them intel on the enemy force, like what mechs they operate, how big their groups are, what's the terrain. Give them even more intel if they score some events in downtime. Allow your players to adapt to the enemy force composition, not the other way around. This is really important, because you are the game master. Your role isn't to win, your role is to give everyone a good time. It's extremely easy to make a NPC group that fully counters your player. Don't do that, even in the hardest fight. Always let your players shine in their best aspect and not take that away from them completely. And most important of all, you are ultimately the game master, not me, and you can totally disregard my advice completely. Honestly, just follow whatever you or your players feel like it. That's all the advices I could give, and before I could move on to the NPC, let's talk about the templates. Honestly, you could just use all NPC as they are, representing a standard trooper, but if you want to spice things up, you could start adding templates to change them up a bit. You don't need to, but it's kinda a bonus. Let's talk about the ones commonly used by most game masters. So, Grunt, like its name implied, is extremely weak and extremely expendable. They die in one hit to just about anything, but at the same time, they are still as capable as their standard counterpart, so swarming your players with them could be very dangerous for them. Veteran represents, well, veteran of a war. Their gears are a step better, but the deadliest thing about them is their experience. They have more tricks up their sleeve, and this template could be matched with just about any other templates to represent their experience in war. Elite is like, Special Force, Royal Guard, or something equivalent to that. They might not be as experienced as a veteran, but their gear is just plain better and they are very well trained, making them very dangerous. Ultra is the boss. That's it. You should make them as unique as possible to your campaign because they are most likely the center point of it. Maybe give them something ridiculous, or make them just plain deadlier. And that's it. You could say that those are level 1 templates, but if you want even more changes to the NPC, you could add these. Commander is exactly that, a commander. They might not be good at fighting, but they are the commanding force for a reason. Any order the commander barked out, a unit will do it 10 times better, but jam their voice, and the commander is useless. And as a commander, they usually get a higher performance vehicle for their own protection. Remote pilot vehicles or RPV is basically drone, whether that's piloted by NHP, CompCon, or pilot from a station. They have more health because you don't need a cockpit in it, but they are also far more vulnerable to tech attack and couldn't make complex decisions, which is probably why they aren't exactly common, because they are absolutely terrible. Exotic is, well, you could say some unexplainable weird stuff happened to this NPC and they now have superpower for some reasons. Any tech or systems attack is also less effective on it, because something has clearly changed within it. And trying to understand it is going to be a fruitless attempt. A mercenary is an opportunistic character, they are more effective when their target is stuck in bad situations, and as they are here to earn a paycheck, they probably would run off when situation goes south. Pirate on the other hand, is just plain deadlier. They can deal more damage, and can even force the player to get out of their mech. Always kill them first, it's better for you and others. Ship is a space-capable transport vessel. Yes, you could turn any NPC type into a ship. Ship is usually used as a flight-capable transport, and while they are armed, their massive bulk makes them rather vulnerable and they cannot conduct any melee attack besides ramming. Spacers are those born in the void, and they know how to fight effectively in it. They could even knock your players around like a bunch of rag dolls. And finally, vehicle, because even in the age of mech, tanks and fighters will still be around. They are less maneuverable than their two-legged counterpart, and cannot conduct glorious melee combat besides ramming, but they can be modified for different purposes and are still as deadly as a mech. Anyway, that's all on NPC templates, in Lancer core rulebook at least, who know, there might be more of it in the future. In the next episode, I will start tackling on the various NPC classes in the rulebook, so until then, I will see you all next time.